You know, the Bible tells one big, connected story about evil. But you might be surprised how it all starts. It's not with this huge explosion or some massive war. Nope, it's way, way quieter than that. Let's get into it. It all kicks off with this one quiet question, whispered in a garden. Did God really say? It's just a little suggestion, right? But it's designed to plant this tiny seed of doubt. And that voice? That's the one that launches the entire conflict we see throughout the rest of the Bible. So think about that for a second. There's no thunder, no fire. The story of evil doesn't start with some big, scary show of force. We're not talking armies or big battles here. The threat? Well, it's almost invisible at first. It's just a whisper. And that right there, that's the strategy from day one. It's not about forcing anyone to do anything. It's about deception. It's about taking the truth and just twisting it, just enough to break our trust, to break the human heart.
And that's how the whole story of evil really begins. See, back in the garden, humanity doesn't fall because we're overpowered or defeated in some battle. We fall because of doubt. The serpent just slides in with a lie, and that one lie creates this massive fracture in our relationship with God.
So we move from the garden into this bigger story, this war that's kind of happening underneath all of history. What's interesting is that after Eden, the serpent himself, he kind of fades into the background for a bit. But his playbook, his method of stirring up rebellion, oh, that doesn't go anywhere. It starts to ripple out across all of human history. And you can see this pattern pop up again and again. It becomes this cycle, you know. Back in Eden, the deception led to division. Then you get to Babel, and what happens? Human pride takes over, and people try to build their own towers to heaven. And as you watch kingdoms and empires rise and fall, it's the same story. Power without truth just leads to destruction every single time. There's the spiritual conflict playing out just under the surface of everything we read about in history books. Okay, so as the story of the Bible keeps going, it's like a curtain is slowly being pulled back. We start to see the two main players in this cosmic conflict much more clearly. And the enemy? Well, his true identity is about to be fully exposed. And who is this enemy? It's the dragon. And get this, the dragon we read about in Revelation is the exact same serpent from the Garden of Eden. This isn't some new bad guy showing up at the end. No, it's the full, final reveal of that same voice from the beginning, the one who deceives the nations. So you've got these two opponents, right? And the contrast between them is just huge. On one side, you have the serpent, the dragon. His whole deal is deception, accusation. He works in the shadows, and his main strategy is always doubt. But then you have the promised king. He's the savior, the redeemer. He is the light. And his weapon? It's not power or force, it's just truth. So this sets the stage for the greatest reversal in history. When Jesus finally shows up and begins his ministry, this hidden spiritual war, it suddenly becomes very, very visible. It all leads to this incredible showdown, this head-on collision at the cross. And guess what? The dragon pulls out his one and only move, that same old strategy, to use against the king.
Remember the temptation in the wilderness? The enemy comes right up to Jesus and uses that exact same whisper, just repackaged. If you are the Son of God. You hear that? It's the same old tactic, questioning, planting doubt, twisting the truth. But this time, it completely fails.
And this all comes to a head at the cross. So, step one, the strike. Christ is crucified, and for a moment, it looks like it's over. It looks like the dragon actually won. But that's the illusion. Because the resurrection, that's the great reversal. That's the moment the serpent's head is crushed for good. The greatest act of apparent defeat becomes the greatest victory in all of history. Okay, so why does any of this matter to us right now? Well, because this isn't just some ancient story. This is our story too. It's deeply personal. Because every single one of us, in our own hearts, we still hear the echoes of that first whisper from the garden. So that really begs the question, doesn't it? Where do we hear this whisper today? Where does that ancient pattern of deception pop up in our own lives, in our own thoughts, in the culture all around us? Well, it probably sounds pretty familiar. It's the voice that says, "You are not enough," or, "Hey, truth is whatever you make it," or how about this one, "You really should be in control here." See, it's the same ancient lie that God is holding out on you and that your identity is all wrapped up in your performance and what you can achieve. Now, I want to be really clear about something. Talking about all this, it's not meant to be scary. This isn't about fear-based faith. It's the exact opposite.
It's hope-based truth, because when you understand the enemy's playbook, and more importantly, when you understand Christ's absolute victory, man, that gives you solid ground to stand on.
And the best part, the story's not finished. We get to know how it ends. The Bible is crystal clear that this whole thing doesn't end in chaos or uncertainty. It ends with the dragon's final defeat, with total restoration and final justice. The whole story comes completely full circle.
And there's this beautiful symmetry to it all, isn't there? The story that kicked off with a lie whispered in a garden, it ends in a totally restored world. A world where deception is silenced for good, and the dragon is finally completely defeated. Done.
So that's really the whole story in a nutshell. The serpent whispered, the dragon raged, but Christ reigns forever. That's the final word. That's the eternal reality. He is the victorious king, and his victory, well, that's our unshakable hope.
So as we wrap this up, I'm just curious, as you think about this whole story, what part of it surprised you the most? Was it how it all started with just a quiet whisper? Or maybe the full reveal of the dragon's rage? Or was it the incredible reversal of the cross? Let that truth, whatever it is, be your anchor.